In the next 5 years, some small businesses will look less like storefronts and more like banks. I'm Camila Stevenson, and around here we talk wealth, and I want you to know that there's a shift happening, but it doesn't look obvious. Some of the smallest businesses in your town are going to look very different 5 years from now. Not because they expanded into franchises, not because they went viral or anything on social media, and not because they suddenly doubled their customer base, but because they learned how to think about money differently. The coffee shop on the corner, the laundromat, the t-shirt printer, the small service company run out of a garage, a few of them are going to quietly turn into financial engines, and most people won't even realize it while it's happening. This is not about hype. It is about structure. We are in an environment where earning money is no longer the full game. What you do with money after you earn it is starting to matter just as much as how you earn it. And that shift is going to separate people and businesses who adapt from those who don't. Let me explain. But first, let me just say this is not financial advice. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Always do your own research. And if you care about understanding how money is actually shifting in this economy, make sure you like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. And drop a comment and let me know, if your assets stop tomorrow, how long could your assets carry you? I do read all the comments. Now, let me start with this. For most of modern history, businesses made money by operating. You sell a product, you provide a service, you pay your expenses, you keep some cash on hand. Maybe you expand slowly, but cash sitting in a business account used to feel safe. Today, idle cash feels different because in an environment where assets reprice faster than interest accrues, money sitting still is quietly losing ground. And that's just the truth as we look at what inflation is doing to our currency. Now, if inflation runs hotter than what your reserves earn, your stored capital is shrinking in real terms, even if the number looks the same. So what happens? Small businesses will continue operating the way they always have, focused purely on revenue, but others will start thinking differently. They'll start asking, what do we do with profit after we earn it? Do we let it sit or do we position it? And once that question starts to be asked, everything is going to change depending on who you are. Because when a business starts allocating capital intentionally into appreciating assets, into digital infrastructure, into yield producing vehicles, it begins to behave less like a storefront and more like a balance sheet. And that's a shift that is going to happen. And even if you don't own a business, it matters for you as well, because the same principle applies personally. Are you only earning or are you allocating? Are you only working or are you positioning? The people and companies that understand treasury behavior during transition periods don't look extraordinary in 1 year. They look extraordinary in 5 years. So what does it actually mean for a small business or for you personally to start acting like a bank? It means the mindset shifts from earning to managing. See, most people think money works like this. You earn it, you store it, you spend it, and that's it. But banks do not think like that. Banks think in terms of deployment. They think in terms of velocity. They think in terms of yield, and they think in terms of balance sheet strength. And that's what's starting to happen. It just requires awareness. And when enough small businesses and enough individuals begin to think this way, they stop behaving like simple earners and they start behaving like allocators. And then suddenly the difference between those who allocated and those who waited are going to become very visible. You can sit and do nothing and wait for things to be convenient, comfortable, and confirming to you. Or you can realize just how far behind you're going to get if you do nothing. And I believe that doing nothing is a greater risk than at least diving in and getting your feet wet in on this digital asset space. Now, one of the things you must understand is that the shift that's happening is real. And I know a natural response may be, well, if earning alone is no longer enough, then what does intelligent allocation actually look like? And I want to answer that. And I want to also say it does not mean gambling on every trend. It doesn't mean throwing your savings into something you don't understand. It means being intentional about where your excess capital lives. If you believe we're going into a monetary transition and the data on inflation, productivity, and asset repricing suggest we are, then idle cash becomes a decision, not a default. And that is where planning comes in. For some people, that does mean evaluating whether part of their long-term retirement capital should remain entirely exposed to traditional markets or whether it may be worth diversifying into digital assets, if that makes sense to you. A lot of people don't even realize that rollover options exist. You can move certain retirement funds into structures that allow exposure to digital assets within a Roth IRA framework where gains compound differently over time. I'm saying this because a lot of people don't even know it. And if you are not exposed at all to digital assets, then you're not exposed to the future monetary system. It's just that simple. You're not exposed to the next wave of infrastructure. You're not exposed to how money is going to move in the near future. That is what I mean by planning and positioning. And I'm telling you that most people aren't doing this. They have their jobs doing this for them, and they're going to realize that not being in the driver's seat is costing them millions of dollars. But there are some options that you can consider. There are platforms like I Trust Capital. They exist very specifically for that reason. They allow you to hold digital assets within a tax advantage structure, but they also go further. You can hold stable coins, generate yield through staking on supported assets, and even add gold and silver exposure in the same ecosystem if diversification fits your macro view. They operate with institutional grade custody, which means you're not just relying on a retail exchange to safeguard long-term capital. And if you fund an account, there's even a $100 funding bonus to help you invest in the bag, and you can take that money and invest it into crypto or even silver and gold to diversify. One thing is for sure, you build allocation structure before assets reprice aggressively, not after. The same principle applies outside of retirement accounts. It applies to your savings, your business profits, your surplus income. Are you letting it sit because that feels safe, or are you positioning it in ways that align with where expansion is flowing? Also, I do want to add that if you do need hands-on guidance and accountability with building your financial escape from worry and regret and being outpaced by inflation, this is also why our coaching community exists. Because understanding how to layer risk, how to allocate across assets, how to think through macro shifts, and how to avoid emotional decisions when volatility hits, that doesn't happen by accident. So we walk you through your portfolio blueprint, risk management, and mindset every single week so you're not trying to build strategy during chaos. Listen, the middle class doesn't vanish in transitions like this. It separates based on behavior. Some people will keep earning, saving, and watching costs rise, hoping income alone will keep pace. Others will treat this period as a window to accumulate ownership and strengthen their balance sheet before the repricing of high quality assets become obvious. 5 years from now, the difference between those two groups won't look dramatic on a day-to-day basis, but it will look obvious in hindsight. So I'm going to leave you with this same question. If your income stopped tomorrow, how long could your assets carry you? Drop that in the comments, because that answer tells you exactly which side of the split you're currently on and whether you need to adjust. But in the meantime, I want you to stay wise, stay wealthy, and I'll see you in the next video.